welcome back to the channel. So in this video we are going to create a separate Metastore in our Databricks. So right now we were having this Metastore already available with us, right? So when we upgraded our Databricks account, so here if we go to manage account, and if we see here to catalog this Metastore, so we already have this Metastore available with us, right? But now we want to create another Metastore because we want to show how delta sharing works between different Metastores. So in delta sharing there are basically two options. One is open delta sharing, in which you basically share your data to an external client or external recipient, and it is not necessary for the recipient to use Databricks. So that is your open delta sharing. But another delta sharing concept is Databricks to Databricks sharing, where you are basically sharing your data from one Metastore to another Metastore. Okay, so to show that concept, we are basically creating this another Metastore, and also like we should know how to create a Metastore, right? So this Metastore got automatically created when we were upgrading our account. So in this video, let us create a Metastore. Here we have one option, create Metastore. Okay, so here what we have to give a name. So let us give a name, Metastore AWS. So we have to give a reason. So which reason? So this is already in use, so you can choose another one. So I will choose maybe this one, EU West 3. Okay, so you give a name. Now here you see S3 bucket is optional, right? IAM role is also optional. So it says optional location for storing managed table and data across all catalogs in the Metastore, and this is the IAM role that Databricks will use to access the S3 bucket. Okay, so let's go to the official documentation of the creating the Metastore. So here we see, so here I am like inside this data governance Unity catalog, create a Unity catalog Metastore. Okay, so let's go through this and understand what do we have to do while for creating this Metastore. Okay, so this article shows how to create a Metastore and link it to a workspace. Okay, for workspace that was enabled for Unity catalog automatically, the instructions in this article are unnecessary. Databricks began to enable new workspace for Unity catalog automatically. So this is what happened with us, right, when we were upgrading our account. Okay, so roll out gradually. If you must follow the instruction in this article if you have a workspace and don't already have a Metastore in your workspace region. So yeah, we want to create a Metastore. Okay, so yeah, a Metastore is the top level container of for data in Unity catalog. Yes, Unity catalog Metastore registers metadata about securable objects such as table, volume, external share, okay, and permissions that govern access to them. Each Metastore exposes 3 level names. So we know this. You must have one Metastore for each region. This also we know, in which your organization operates. Okay, so to work with Unity catalog, users must be on a workspace. Okay, so to create a Metastore, you do the following. In your AWS account, create a storage location for Metastore level storage of managed table and volume. For information to help you decide whether you need a Metastore level storage, see this. Okay, so let's see this. So it says create Metastore level storage. Although Databricks recommends that you create a separate managed storage location for each catalog in your Metastore. So I think this is what happened with us when we upgraded, right? So when our first workspace or Metastore got created, so if we see here, this was our workspace, right, which got created. Don't look into this, I was just creating another workspace, but yeah, this is the one which got created automatically. Okay, so if we see, go to our catalog, this was our external data, and we go to external data. Here we have this, right? So this was our catalog. So if I go to my catalog, right, so here this is my catalog, right? And if I then go, so this is the catalog, and this is the URL, the S3 bucket where my data is stored for this catalog. So and if we see the account, So if we again go to manage account and then catalog, this was our Metastore. If we open this, here we see S3 bucket is not set, region EU Central 1 and Metastore admin is not set, right? So here we see S3 is not set, right? But the S3 is set at the catalog level, because that is what Databricks is recommending us, right? So Databricks recommends that you create a separate managed storage location for each catalog in your Metastore, and you do the same for schema. You can opt instead to create a managed location at the Metastore level and use it at the storage for multiple catalog and schemas. Optional. Create an S3 bucket for Metastore level managed storage in AWS. So let's skip this for now. So create IAM role, we will skip. Create the Metastore and attach a workspace. Okay, let's do this. Each Databricks region requires its own Unity catalog Metastore. You create a Metastore for each region in which your organization operates. You can link each of these Metastores to any number of workspace in that region. Each linked workspace has the same view of the data Metastore, and data access control can be managed across workspace. Okay, you can access data in other Metastore using delta sharing. So this is our goal, right? We want to share data across different Metastores. That's why we are creating another Metastore for now, right? So we will come back to this later. So let's go back here again. So create a Metastore, login, create catalog, create Metastore, enter the following. So we are at this step, and name, right? So we want to give the name, region. This must be in the same region as the workspace you want to use to access the data. Okay, so we have to create a workspace. So right now we are creating this Metastore in Paris region, so we have to create a workspace in the same region. Okay, make sure that this matches the region of the storage bucket you created earlier, and the storage bucket also which we are going to create should be in that Paris region. Okay, optional, the S3 bucket path you can omit S3 this, and IAM role name for the bucket and role you created in previous step. This is optional. Okay, then create, click. When prompted, select workspace to link to the Metastore. For details, see enable a workspace for Unity catalog. Okay, so let's first, so we gave our name Metastore AWS EU West 3 optional, and then let's create. So here it says assign Metastore this to workspace, but right now we have these two workspace, but this region is EU Central 1, both are at EU Central 1, right? So what we can do, it says workspace is already assigned to a Metastore. If you assign a new Metastore to this workspace, workload in this workspace will lose access to data in the previous Metastore. So okay, so this got created, Metastore AWS EU West 3. So now so there is no workspace attached here, right? S3 bucket we did not give, region EU S3, okay, and Metastore admin. So this is the Metastore admin. Okay, for delta sharing, yeah, allow delta sharing with parties outside your organization. So this, yeah, let's not enable this one. Workspace assignment, automatically assign new workspace in EU West 3 to this Metastore. We don't want to enable this for now. We will manually handle which catalog or workspace should go to which Metastore, because now we have two. This is a new Metastore which we have already created. Okay, so now let's assign to a workspace. Okay, so these two workspace we cannot assign, right? So what we can do, we can create a workspace. So it says select at least one workspace to proceed. So let's cancel this. So let's create one workspace, and we will assign that workspace to this Metastore. Okay, so workspace, so here we have this create workspace. So So let's click this one. Now there are two ways. Workspace is an environment to access all your Databricks data assets and computational resource. How would you like to create your workspace? Quick start. Use quick start to create a workspace in just a few clicks. So this is what happened using quick start when we were first creating our upgrading our Databricks account, right? Because then if you remember, we clicked that start quick start and automatically a cloud formation stack got started running, and then it created our metastore and s3 bucket, IAM role, and also our catalog, everything, right? But let's go this manual way. Okay, typically for advanced user with AWS experience, you will need to create your own storage and credential configurations. So let's see, we will see this step. Okay, so next, so here it says workspace name. So let's give a workspace name, the AI to Android, another DBR recipient. Okay, so let's give this name. Region, we want to remember, we have to give it to the same region where our meta store is created, right? So we created our meta store in this region, so we will create this region. Okay, the cloud region where you would like to launch compute resources, right? And because here also we saw the region where you want to deploy the metastore, this must be in the same region as the workspace you want to use to access the data, right? So we have to make sure that we are giving the same region. Okay, so now let's next. Okay, then it says a cloud storage location stores workspace assets such as data, library, and logs, and an IAM role that this Databricks uses to access the location. Your workspace will be automatically configured with Unity Catalog to provide fine-grained governance across assets stored in this location. Okay, select an existing configuration or create a new one. So we have this stack storage and recipient storage. These two were already created before. So let's create a new storage. And anyway, these two are in a different region, right? So create a storage configuration. Okay, so we got some more details here. Let's see what it's written here. Setup guide in AWS for storage configuration, right? So this is my storage configuration, right? Create, follow, log into AWS. So our AWS is here. Yeah, you, where is it? Okay, make sure you have the administrative privilege in AWS. Okay, so create s3 bucket. Create an s3 bucket in your AWS console. After you create the bucket, paste the bucket name into the bucket name field on this page. So we have this bucket name. Okay, so let's create an s3 bucket. So we come here and then we have to go to this region EUS3. In this one we have to create a bucket. Okay, so bucket name, let's say Databricks another metastore recipient. So this is my bucket name. This we can keep it as it is. Bucket versioning disabled, bucket key disabled, this we can find. Okay, then create a bucket. Bucket name contains invalid character underscore. Okay, so we can give okay, so create bucket. Okay, so now this is inside our EU West 3, this bucket. Okay, so we have to copy this bucket name. So bucket name we paste here. Okay, then it says storage configuration name, human readable name to label your configuration. Okay, so we can give okay. Now create IAM role. Create an IAM role that will allow access to the s3 bucket. So okay, so let's click this, learn more. Okay, so create an IAM role with a custom trust policy. Let's see what it says. This IAM role and trust policy establishes a cross account trust relationship so that Databricks can access data in s3 bucket. on behalf of Databricks users. Okay, so it is basically creating a cross account trust relationship so that Databricks can access data, okay, in S3 behalf in S3 on behalf of Databricks user. Okay, the ARN in the principal section is a static value. This is a static value that references a role created by Databricks. So in your AWS account, create an IAM role with a custom trust policy. So let's copy this. Let's go to our Databricks. Now let's go to our IAM role. Okay, create role, and then what it says, in your AWS account, create IAM role with a custom trust policy. Okay, so custom trust policy. Okay, let's, in the custom trust policy, paste the following policy JSON. Okay, so we copy. The policy sets an external ID to 00040 as a placeholder. You update this to the account ID of your Databricks account in a later step. Okay, so we just copy, save the IAM role. Now that you have created the role, you must update its trust policy to make it self-assuming. Okay, so let's next. We can do next for now. Role name, so let's give role. Okay, and we can say create role. Okay, so now here we have another recipient workspace role. This is what we have created. Then let's see what it says. Say, now that you have created the role, you must update its trust policy to make it self-assuming. In the IAM role you just created, go to the trust relationship tab and edit the trust relationship policy as follows, replacing the AWS account ID, this role name, and your Databricks account ID value. Okay, so we copy this, trust relationship, edit this. Okay, so trust relationship, edit trust policy, and we basically do this. Okay, so my role, so this was my role, so this role name we can give here, Databricks another recipient workspace role. Okay, your AWS account ID, so my AWS account ID is this one. Okay, and then your Databricks account ID. Okay, so US this one. So if we come here, my account is this one, right? So we copy this and this, then we can paste here. Okay, and then what it says, skip the permission policy configuration, you will go back to add this in a later step. Save the IAM role. Okay, then update policy. It says the trust policy contains error, fix the policy error to proceed. What is the error? Okay, so this is now my trust policy here, trust relationship, we have edited it. And now let's see, create an IAM role, IAM policy to grant read and write access. Before this, let's go back here once again and let's see, create an IAM role that will allow access to the S3 bucket. Generate a bucket policy. After you have entered your bucket name into the bucket name field, click the generate policy button. Okay, so we have created this, then let's copy, paste the generated policy into the bucket policy. Okay, so we have to paste this in our bucket policy. In your AWS console, return to the S3 bucket you created in step 1. Click the permission tab, go to the bucket policy section and click edit. Okay, paste the policy and then click save changes. Okay, so this we will do it just one step later. So first we will come here and we will now create our policy. Okay, so let's go here. Then on the right we have, on the left we have these policies. Okay, so create a policy, JSON. Okay, so replace the following values. The IAM policy grants read and write access. Okay, so here we copy and then we just place this one. Okay, so it says optional also. KMS key is optional, so let's remove this KMS part. Okay, and then bucket, name of the S3 bucket. So what is our S3 bucket? So if I, this is my S3 bucket, right? Another Metastore recipient. So we come here, we give this. Okay, and here also, and AWS account ID and AWS IAM role name. Okay, so we come here, we can copy this account ID and IAM role name. Okay, so we go here and this was our IAM role. Okay, so let's come back here. ID, account ID, this. Okay, fine. The name of the IAM role that you created in previous step. Yes, this is, we can, it's optional, we skip. This IAM policy grant read and write access. You can also create a policy that grants read access only. However, this may be unnecessary because you can mark the storage credential as read only and any write access granted by this IAM role will be ignored. Okay. If you need more restrictive IAM policy for Unity Catalog, contact Databricks account team. Create a separate IAM policy for file events in the same account. IAM policy grant bucket permission to upgrade Databricks event notification. We'll create SNS topic, SQS. We don't want to do all these things, so let's skip this. Return to the IAM role. So let's create our policy. So this is, we created this policy, right? So next. Okay, so then we have to write a policy name, policy, and then create policy. Okay, then it says go to our role. Yes, permission, we have to basically attach a policy here. So add permission, attach a policy. So we can, this one, add permission. So now this policy is attached here. Permission tab, attach the IAM policy that you just created. So in the permission we attach this policy. Perfect. Create the storage configuration. Okay, this is the step 4, but now we remember, where is it? Here. So we have to copy this. We have to go to our S3. Another recipient, right? Metastore recipient, yes. So we have to go to permissions. In the bucket policy, edit, paste. Okay, save changes. Okay, so we are done with this part also. Now here it says once you have created an IAM role, step 2, paste the IAM role ARN here. Okay, so we come here, IAM role. So this is our IAM role, here is our ARN. So we copy this ARN and we paste here. Okay, and let's see here, create the storage configuration. Now return to the workspace creation flow in your Databricks account. Yes, on the storage step, create the storage configuration that gives your workspace access to the S3 bucket. Enter a human readable name for the storage configuration, we already gave. Enter the name of the S3 bucket you created in AWS account. Enter the ARN, click create storage credential and continue. Okay, click create storage configuration and continue. Okay, for Databricks to launch clusters in your AWS account, you will need to create a cross account IAM role that give access to Databricks. You are responsible for the AWS cost of clusters you create. Select this is important right, because if you start a cluster like a very big cluster, then yeah, cost. Select a credential you created previously or create a new one. Okay, so we have to create a new one. Okay, then what does it say? Log into AWS, make sure you administrative. Okay, for guidance on step 0 please refer this documentation. Okay, so let's see this one. I mean, it's the same documentation which we are here. Create a credential configuration. Let's close this one. So what does it say? Create a cross account IAM role. Get your Databricks account ID. Log in to your AWS console as a user with administrative privilege. Okay, click the role. Click role. Okay, so we have to create another role. So create a role, Databricks, and then what it says. Select type of trusted entity. Click the AWS account tile. Select the another AWS account checkbox. In the account field, enter the Databricks account ID. This. Okay. In the account field, we enter this one. This is not the account ID you copied from the Databricks account console, because from our, if we go again here, it's 3, then our account ID, Databricks account ID starts with ACC49 something, right? But here it says enter the AWS account ID, enter the account ID field. In the account ID field, enter the Databricks account ID, which is this one. So this is different from 8cc, right? So this is not the account ID you copied from Databricks account console. Yes, if you are using Databricks on AWS, okay, no. Use the Databricks account ID, this, okay, no. Select the required external ID checkbox. Okay, required external ID checkbox. In the external ID, enter your Databricks account ID which you copied. Okay, so we copy now. Here we put this one. Enter the Databricks account we did. Click the next button. So next, let's see. Okay, then it says on the add permission page, click next. Add permission. Click next. You should now be on the name, review and create page. Yes. In the IAM role field, enter a role name. Okay, so let's put cross account access role. Okay, create role, another cross account access role. Okay, so then create an access policy. The access policy you add to the role depends on your Amazon VPC, virtual private cloud deployment type. For information about how Databricks use each permission, see IAM role, IAM permission, Databricks manage VPC. Option 1 is default, a single VPC that Databricks creates and configure in your AWS account. I think this is what we have read here also, right? So here it says create cross account IAM role. We have created it. So the policy varies depending. So create access policies, show policy. Let's now come here. Okay, so this is our default, right? So default deployment policy. In the role section in the IAM console, click the IAM role you created in step 1. Click the add permissions drop down and select create inline policy. We can copy this one. Okay, the policy varies on depend. Default create your workspace in a single VPC. Okay, so we copy this one, and then where we can go, as it says. Okay, so it says go to your role. So here we are in our role, right? In trust relation. Oh, is it? No, permission. click the add permission drop down and select inline policy. Add permission, create inline policy. Okay, JSON, this one. Okay, next, review and create. Okay, policy name, so we can put policy and then create a policy. Okay, so this is our role. Now this policy attached, inline policy, and then in the role summary, copy the role ARN to the Databricks. Okay, so we copy this ARN, this is our role, right? And we go over here and we put the role ARN is this one, human readable configuration name. Okay, and then option 2 we don't want, right, because we already chose option 1, default single VPC, so we can skip option 2. Option 3, create the credential configuration. In the credential configuration name, enter a human readable name for your new credential configuration. Yes, in the role ARN field enter the role. Okay, create credential and continue. So create credential and continue. So this is our workspace. So workspace name is another DBR recipient, EUS3, storage configuration, credential configuration, and Metastore is this one. So create my workspace. So my workspace, where is it? Let's do one thing. We go to account, workspace. So now here it says provisioning. Okay, so now it says running, and this is attached to our Metastore. Okay, nice. Then what we can do, we can go to this, and here is the URL. Okay, so we click here. You would get an email as well, I guess. Okay, and in that email also you will have the URL, but you can also get the URL how we got now. Okay, so now we have this, right? This is what we have created, and here we can see all the different workspace. So if we go here to our catalog, by default this is one catalog which got created for us. Right now this everything is same, right? So what we are going to do in our next video, we are basically do delta sharing, Databricks to Databricks delta sharing between these two accounts workspace. So one is in U Central 1 is in U West 3. So we will do delta sharing between these. Okay, and this delta sharing is called Databricks to Databricks sharing, delta sharing. Okay, for this video we understood how to create a workspace, how to create a Metastore, right, which is important. And yeah, I think that's it for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you, bye.